Good day everyone. I am Victor, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, which is FDA Best Audit Practices Do's and Don'ts. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, Charles H. Paul. Charles H. Paul is the president of CH Paul Consulting Incorporated. Charles has been a regulatory consultant to the life science industry for over 20 years and has published numerous white papers on this subject. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Charles.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. As you heard, it's the FDA Best Audit Practices, Do's and Don'ts. Now, we've got about 90 minutes to overview and cover this content. So we might as well just jump in and get both feet wet here. So to introduce this subject, let me begin by saying if you're in any regulated business, whether it be pharmaceuticals or medical devices or biologics or foods, you're going to experience an inspection by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, for sure in the United States, and certainly by agencies in other parts of the world. So the outcome of those inspections can really have a grave, significant impact upon your business, even if you and your you and your colleagues have done everything right. So how you and others behave and interact with FDA inspectors can have an impact on the results reported. We're going to begin by reviewing the FDA inspection process, its importance, and how the process works. We're going to continue with a discussion of the importance of truthfulness to the process. Other key communication skills will be presented in the context of the inspection, adverse findings as they're identified by the inspector so as not to compound the issues and severity of the findings. Now, as we begin, it's really important to set the stage, that you understand the inspection process, its purpose, and how the process works before we deep dive into the do's and don'ts of the process itself. Why does the FDA inspect at all? Of FDA inspections can vary really depending on several factors. The whole process really is about GMPs. Who does the FDA inspect? Now that document is the Investigations Operations Manual, or what they call the IOM. The purpose of FDA inspections really, there are three basic types of inspection: pre-approval inspections, post-approval audit inspections, and drug manufacturing inspections. Let's look at the basic inspection preparation steps. Now, companies can have a smooth inspection process by following a few basic best practices, essentially that enable everyone to do the right things right. They can implement a robust regulatory compliance program, create a thorough awareness of all aspects of FDA inspections, keep current of industry trends. Well, we can have a company inspection team. There are a couple of definitions and roles and responsibilities. Now, here is basically what happens on the day of an FDA inspection. So at the start of an inspection, now a couple of things to remember as we begin to get into the inspection. So during the inspection, what happens? The inspection usually involves a combination of a physical plant inspection and a document and records review. Information and drug sample requests. Documents and records really form the heart of your quality system. There are several types of documents. At the completion of the inspection, an exit interview is conducted. 483 presented at the completion of the inspection. And now let's talk about post-inspection protocols. What do you do after it's done, after they leave your facility? Now, the company should address any 483 observations received. Now, let's talk a minute here about warning letters. So now let's review how you should act and interact with inspectors during the process. Many behaviors that will certainly help as well as hinder when participating in an inspection. Require that all requests from the inspector go through your inspection team. Proper records handling is really essential to a successful inspection. We always say we have to do the right things right. Don't make the investigator ask a second time. How you display your body language is obviously important. Now, how you answer questions, certain phrases that you should refrain from using. Always avoid ambiguous language or words. To review here, as we finish up, to review, we always say work with the FDA. This webinar really has shown that you can organize your interaction with the agency when they're on your site using the same methodical approach that you take to the rest of the things that you do every day in your regulated business. So on that note, I think I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here. Number one, I appreciate everybody attending today. Again, thank you for participating here today and sticking with me throughout the presentation. I appreciate that. The FDA provides their documentation that they issue to their inspectors, that their inspectors get trained on. that that documentation is available. That documentation is available to anyone who can go on the site and get it, and that's really important.
Thank you, Charles. That does conclude the session for today, and thank you very much for participating, everyone. You may all disconnect now and have a great day. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you,
Take care.
everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Victor.